Hello everyone, this is the Algebra 1 Unit 1 review sheet, and we're going to get right to it with number 1. If at any time you want to try these on your own, or you're just watching this to check to see if your work is correct, just go ahead and pause and just come back and look at your answers and check it out that way. You have negative 3x minus 4 times 4x minus 8 equals 3 times negative 8x minus 1. This is a long problem, but the first thing that we're going to do is do distributive property. Distributive property, this is a negative 4, so just be careful with that. Negative 16x, negative 4 times negative 8 is a positive 32. I'm going to bring down that negative 3x. And then equals, I'm going to do distributive property here on the fly. Positive 3 times negative 8 is negative 24x. And 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. You are going to combine like terms. You have negative 3x minus 16x is negative 19x plus 32. Equals negative 24x minus 3. We are going to get those x's together by adding 19x on both sides. And once you kind of take a look at that, that's when you realize, hey, the 19x's will cancel. You have 32 coming down on that left side. You have negative 24x plus 19x is still a negative 5x, and then minus 3. You add 3 on both sides here. And the 3's will cancel. You have 35 equals negative 5x. When you divide, you're dividing by a negative 5. And you're going to get x equals negative 7. And that's your answer on that. Again, you're distributing here. Anytime you see parentheses, you do distribute. We're going to bring up the calculator, and just remember, you have to press alpha x for that fraction symbol. We're going to put a negative 1 over 3 in. And it doesn't matter where you put the negative, as long as you put the negative, you could either put the negative before the fraction or after, or just in that first number in the numerator. So you times 6 and you enter, and that's negative 2y. Negative 1/3, again, negative 1/3. Times 6. Again, is negative 2. Plus 21 equals 3y. So you're just going to go ahead and combine like terms. So the like terms that you can combine are negative 2 and a positive 21. Negative 2 plus 21 equals 19. You have negative 2y plus 19 equals 3y. Now your job is to get those y's together, and since this is a negative 2y, I'm going to add the 2y on both sides. This cancels. You have a 19 coming down on this left side, and you have 5y coming down on the right side. You divide by 5, keeping everything in line, and y equals 19 over 5. We're going to keep it that way, because you take a look at your choices are all in fraction form. So 19 over 5 is your answer for number 2. Number 3, keeping with the solving equations format here, this topic, we're going to do distributive property. Negative 5 times negative 4 is negative 20x. Negative 5 times negative 6 is a positive 30. Equals 2x minus 14. So I'm just going to bring over the 20x the negative 20x, and I'm going to add 20x on both sides. The reason why I'm doing that is to keep everything in the positive. So bringing the smaller to the larger will have me stay in that positive, and you have 22x on this side minus 14. When you add 14 to both sides, you are starting to get that that x alone. So we're going to add that 14. This cancels. You have 44 equals 22x. I'm going to bring it up over here. I'm going to rewrite 44 equals 22x. And then the last step, I'm going to divide by 22. And you have x equals 2 as your answer. So A is your answer for that one. Just be careful over here with the two negatives. When you distribute a negative, it changes the sign of everything inside the parentheses. Again, another very long question here, but remember, just take it side by side. This is a negative 4.1x, and this is a negative 7.4x. I am not going to do anything. I'm just going to put it into my calculator. You have negative 4.1 minus, and let me just check out what that is. It's minus 7.4. And you have negative 11.5x. So negative 11.5x minus 12. Look how nice that is. Now you have two terms on that left side. We have to do distributive property over here on the right side. I'm just going to bring the 1.5x down though. And negative 4 times x is obviously negative 4x. I'm going to bring the calculator back, and I'm going to go negative 4 times, and alpha x to bring up the calculator. It is a negative 3 over 2. Negative times a negative is definitely a positive, and it works out nicely because it works out to be a positive 6. So you know that we have a like term that we have to combine on this right side. It's 1.5x and then negative 4. Just remember, always use your calculator. You have 1.5 minus 4. 1.5 minus 4 is negative 2.5. So we have negative 2.5x plus 6 equals negative 11.5x minus 12. Now we have two terms on each side, and we're able to get the x's together. And let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to try to bring this negative 11.5x over to the negative 2.5x. By choosing the smaller number, I am going to keep everything in the positive. And that's really kind of what the reason why I do that. Negative 12 equals, again, calculator, negative 2.5 plus 11.5. Don't leave anything to chance, even though if you think you know it. This is a 9x plus 6. So then you subtract 6 on both sides. Always doing the opposite of what you see. You have 9x equals 18, negative 18. I'm going to move this down just a little bit more, and I'm going to divide by 9, and I'm going to get x equals negative 2. X equals negative 2. Going on to the, for number 5 in this topic, again, we have a fraction here, but we're going to just kind of leave that there and just minus the 4 on both sides to get to kind of, you know, start to isolate that variable. So we're going to have 4 over 5p equals negative 38. We've been saying all the time, just go ahead and every time you want to get rid of a fraction, multiply by its reciprocal. When you multiply by its reciprocal, you get this. And the reciprocal of 4 over 5 is 5 over 4. We get cancel the 5s to cross cancel and 4s cross cancel. You have p equals, this is way too much for me, I am going to go to my calculator, and as soon as I move this calculator over, and I have negative 38 in my calculator, and then I'm going to press alpha X. No, I'm not. I have negative 38, and I forgot to press times, and now I'm going to press alpha X, 5/4. So my calculator is going to figure this out for me. It is negative 95/2. Right, so we have negative 95/2, and one of these choices is the same as that, but we're talking about choices that have all decimals. So there's one or two things that you could do. You could press the math button, and you could go down to decimal and then press enter, and you could take your answer and convert it into a decimal. You get negative 47.5, or you could just go ahead and divide negative 95 and 2, and you could get negative 47.5. Either way, negative 95/2 is B. All right, so just remember, if you look at your answers and they're all decimals, obviously you have to convert that fraction into a decimal. All right, and now number 6. Another equation that you have to combine like terms. So we're looking at the K's right now. We're going to bring up the calculator right away because, again, we definitely have to use the calculator to combine like terms just so we know that it is correct. So it's negative 2.8 plus 10.3. And then you have 7.5. So this is 7.5K plus 13 equals 25. You're going to subtract 13 on both sides. And you have 7.5K equals 25 minus 13 is 12. You divide the 7.5. And you're going to get K equals, and then I'm going to do 12 divided by 7.5. And obviously, this is not going to be a whole number. This is 1.6, 1.6. All right. Number 7. Bernard solved an equation incorrectly, as shown below. So let's go ahead and it says describe the error Bernard made. You're going to take a look right here. All right, the first thing you have to do is do distributive property. I see the error that Bernard made right away. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 5 is supposed to be a positive 15. So that is your wrong. You know, if you're going to describe something that is incorrect, that's the error that Bernard made. So the error that Bernard made was that he distributed incorrectly. Negative 3 times negative 5 is not a negative 15. It is a positive 15 instead. So that's what you would put for that. Number 8, the steps a student took to solve an equation is shown below. Again, another error question. Which error did the student make, and what is the correct value of x? So you have to go through this whole thing here to get the correct value of x. So we're going to just go ahead and take a look at what it is that he did. So the first step that you have to take is when you distribute. So this is 3/4 times negative 8. That is negative 6. You can see on my calculator, 3/4 times 20 is 15. And then I'm going to do negative 8 times negative x is positive x. And then negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24. So now at this point right here, you're supposed to add 6x on both sides. Let's see if that is the case. If you're adding 6x on both sides, that it does not come out to be 2x. So that's where the mistake is made. And we're going to solve for the correct value of x. So I'm just going to write this negative 6x plus 15 equals 8x plus 24. And I'm going to put the correct way to do this in blue. So the 6x's cancel out, and you're supposed to have 15x equals 14x plus 24. And obviously in step 2, he does not have that. So the error in step 2, the student should have added 6x to both sides of the equation. Did not. Somehow they got 2x. Actually, they subtracted 6x to both sides. So we're going to just go ahead and complete this problem by subtracting 24. And this cancels. You have 14x equals, and just to make sure, 15 minus 24 is negative 9. And you have 14. This cancels. We have x equaling negative 9 over 14. And that is the value of x that you're supposed to get without any of the mistakes that were made. All right, so just going ahead to topic 2. When you're solving types of solutions, when solving equations in real-world applications, we are going to actually go to distributive property again. A lot of solving. 3x plus 15 equals 3x plus 7. When you have the same x on both sides of the equation with different other numbers, there is no solution. And you could go further and just go like this. Subtract the 3x on both sides. Like you're solving any equation, you're going to solve it the same way. This cancels. You have 15 does not equal 7. So there is no solution. What value of the constant k in the equation is shown below will result in an infinite number of solutions. Infinite number of solutions, remember, is the same on both, same expression on both sides. So you have 12x plus 24, and you have to have 12x plus 24 on this side as well. So you have to ask yourself, what can you substitute in for k? What number, which one of these would make 12x plus 24? And I'm looking at 4. If you substitute 4 in here and you do 4 times 3x, that's 12x. 4 times 6 is 24. So C is your answer. Remember the same expression on both sides. You have the same expression on both sides. You have an infinite number of solutions. And I put that there. Same expression on both sides results in an infinite number of solutions. Product of a number and 3. We're going to kind of just slow it down just a little bit. The product means multiplication. A number and 3. The product of a number and 3 is 3 times x. Increased by 5. That's plus 5. So far we have 3x. All right, so I'm going to use n because I see in my choices that they used n as the variable. So I'm going to put n plus 5. All right, so 3n plus 5, 3n plus 5, 3n plus 5. This is not that. Okay. Is equal sign. 7 less than, 7 less is a minus 7. Twice the number. Twice the number is 2x. So it is 2x minus 7. Really using x a lot, but in this case it's n, so A is your answer, and that is it. Remember, it's not 7 minus 2n, it's 7 less than twice the number. So twice the number comes first, and 7 less than that is 22nd. John paid for yoga therapy, $60 membership fee, plus $15 per training session. So let's just stop right there, and we're just going to put that together. $60 the membership fee gets charged once, and $15 per training session is just, we don't know how many training sessions, so it could be over and over and over again. It's 15x. So his total for the month, anytime you see a total, that goes after the equal sign. So that's what I'm looking at. So I'm just going to try to match up 15x plus 60 equals 215. C is your answer. All right. Number 5, what value for the constant n will result in no solution? Remember, no solution, same x value with different numbers. All right, so we have now, so we have to have, so this side right here is 10x plus 12. This side has to be 10x, and we don't know whatever makes this 10x, that's probably going to work. So 5 times 5, that's 25x. So the x's would be different, so that means it would be one solution. So this is out. 2. Let's see, 2 times 5 is 10x. 2 times 7 is 14. That would be no solution. Again, if you went and got the x's together, you minus the 2x on, minus the 10x on both sides. This would cancel and this would cancel. You'd get 14 equals 12, and it doesn't equal 12. This is no solution. So you don't have to search any further. B is your answer. 2 would be the number that you would substitute for no solution. So for number 6, Ben has 3 more than 4 times as many CDs as Jake. If they have a total of 33 CDs, how many CDs does Jake have? So the most difficult part of this here is to find out who is your X. And you always have to go ahead and write a key down. So it's either Ben or Jake. Since there's only 2 names, I put Ben and Jake in my key. One of them represents X, and the other one represents like whatever it is that they're saying, right? So Ben has 3 more than 4, 3 more. So this is plus 3. Then 4 times as many CDs as Jake. All right, so Jake is X. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to kind of just figure out who is your X. Who's the ground floor person that you're going to have as just X. And then Ben, it has 3 more than 4 times. I like to put the 4x first. 4 times as many as Jake. 4 times 3 more than 4 times as many. If they have a total of 33 CDs, obviously you're going to put 4x plus 3. I'm going to make an equation up. Plus x equals a total of 33. It's asking how many CDs does Jake have. So we're just going to solve for x here. So we have to combine like terms. You have 4x plus x this is 1x, by the way. And so you have 5x plus 3 equals 33. And then you minus 3 on both sides. And you get 5x equals 30. And you're going to divide by 5 on both sides. Divide by 5. And you get x equals 6. So how many CDs does Jake have? Jake has 6 CDs. So D is your answer. By the way, if they asked you how many CDs does Ben have, you would just go ahead and take that 6, this 6 right here, and substitute in 4 times 6 plus 3. 24 plus 3 is 27. 27, Ben has 27. They did not ask you for that, But if they do on the test, you know that you have to substitute in to figure it out. All right, number 7, determine the solution to the equation shown below. Again, another long equation here. But you can kind of clean, your job is to clean it up from side to side, right? So I'm going to start on the left side. We're going to have 3.2. I'm just going to bring that down. Negative a half times x is negative. I'm going to go ahead and just do something where I'm just going to make it a decimal. I know that negative a half is negative 0.5, and negative times a positive is negative 0.5x. I'm just going to put that down because everything else, it seems to be decimals. So I don't want one lone fraction to mess up my chances of solving this equation. You have negative a half times 4, which is negative 2. All right, use your calculator if you don't know that. All right, so I'm going to combine like terms before I move on. 3.2 minus 2 is 1.2. So I'm going to do 1.2 minus 0.5x equals. So now I'm going to go back up here, and I know I'm going to combine these like terms right here. So we have 4.8 minus 5.2. I just want to make sure that I get this right. And it's negative 0.4x. Negative 0.4x plus 2. All right, that's this when you combine the 4.8 and the negative 4.2. And then also over here, I combined 3.2 minus 2. And so I am going to write down negative 0.4x plus 2. You notice that combining the like terms on each side made this a nicer problem for us. So I have a negative 0.5x and a negative 0.4x. I am going to add 0.5x on both sides. And it does not matter which x that you choose to get over to the other, as long as you get the x's together. So I'm just going to be careful here, and I'm going to just make sure negative 0.4 plus 0.5 is exactly 0.1. And I knew it was 0.1, just wanted to make sure that it was. All right, so I have a negative 0.1x, I'm sorry, positive 0.1x plus 2 equals 1.2. Then at this point, I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. So I subtracted 2 on both sides, and I have negative 0.8 equals 0.1x. Then I am going to divide 0.1 on both sides, 0.1. That is a negative 0.8. So I'm going to put that into the calculator, divide it by 0.1. So that's exactly what I have. And I have negative 8 as my answer. I have x equals negative 8. This cancels. All right, so that was a little bit tricky with the decimals and everything like that. So, you know, try your best with that and make sure that you're using your calculator at all times. All right, number 8, Mr. Stanton asks his students to write an algebraic expression on a piece of paper. It shows 4 students to go to the board and write their expression. So, so Robert came up to the board and wrote an inequality. So that is not an expression. So Robert, you're wrong. So I'm going to put an X. Meredith wrote this. This is an expression. So we're going to put this down. That is an expression. It doesn't have an equal sign. An inequality has like a less than symbol, or less or greater than symbol, or less than or equal to. Those symbols there represent an inequality. Greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Those represent an inequality. No equal sign in an expression. That is a Q. Okay. All right. So Stephen wrote 9W plus 2 equals 20. That is an equation. All right. So I'm just going to put that X. I feel bad for Rob. Identify what student wrote an equation, an expression, or inequality. So right now we have an equation that Stephen wrote because an equation has an equal sign. And the last one, Cynthia wrote 8 plus 10 minus 4 equals another one equation. And again, it has an equal sign. And that's it for that question. All right, number 9. A lot of people have trouble with this, but I'm just going to teach you how to do this the easiest possible way. Use your calculator. So when it says t equals -6, it's like you are getting what t is equal to. So all you have to do is rewrite the whole entire expression with -6 in as t. So we're going to put 3. T squared is -6 squared. That's the t. Plus, I'm following this, t, 5t, which is -6. Every time you substitute, you put it in parentheses, plus 6. Now, I don't want you to do any of this by hand. You're going to go to your calculator. I'm going to clear it out. And I'm going to try to make this a little bigger. All right. So I'm going to put 3. I'm going to follow exactly what I wrote here. In parentheses, -6, close parentheses, squared. Plus, I didn't deviate from what I wrote down at all. -6, close parentheses, plus 6. Now, did I do anything different? It looks exactly what I have written down here. It's on my screen. I press enter. It is 84. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to minus this. And that is my answer, 84. And that's it. All right. Please do not do anything by hand. Topic 3. Triangles and their angle relationships. The triangle inequality theorem. And the similar/congruent figures. All right. The measures of angles in, move my face over here, all right, in triangle UVW are shown in the diagram below. What is the value of x? So we're talking about a triangle. Triangles equal, the interior angles of a triangle equal 180 degrees. So if you add them all up, add all of this plus this, that equals 180 degrees. So you're not wondering what to do. You're just going to go, okay, this is a triangle. I'm going to add up 3x plus 28 plus 5x plus 52 plus 2x minus 10 equals 180. And now we have a long equation, and all we have to do is solve for x. So I'm going to move this up a little bit because I don't need the triangle anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and circle all my values of x that I have to add together, combine. 3x plus 5x is 8x plus 2x is 10x. Then I'm going to take a 28, a 52, and a minus 10. 28 plus 52 minus 10 equals 70. So I have a plus 70 in a different color equals 180. So then we have minus 70 on both sides, minus 70 on both sides. This cancels. You have 10x equals 110. Divide by 10 on both sides. You get x equals 11. Remember, all the interior angles of a triangle equal 180 degrees. In the diagram of ABC, this is number 2 below, angle S measures 70 degrees, and angle S we see right here, they gave it to us, and angle T measures 50 degrees right here. Side AC is extended to form an exterior angle. I don't see AC, but it's UY or whatever, SY, whatever. This is wrong. All right, but this is what I'm saying here. They just want the measure of the exterior angle right here. This cannot be any easier. Just remember, the triangle inequality theorem says when you add two of the non-interior, non-adjacent angles, when you add them up, the sum of those two will equal the exterior angle. The sum of the two interior non-adjacent angles, non-adjacent, not next to the exterior angle, if you add them up, the two non-adjacent interior angles, they add up to be what the exterior is equal to. So if you add 70 plus 50, you get 120. 120 degrees is this. And that's D. First off, one thing that I do want to say, this is an obtuse angle. So even if you didn't know that, an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees, 70 degrees out, 60 degrees out, and it's not 90 degrees. Take a look at that exterior angle. This is an obtuse angle. So obviously it is greater than 90, but just remember the two interior angles, the two non-adjacent interior angles to the exterior angle, non-adjacent, not next to. If you add them up, it'll always equal the exterior angle. So D is your answer. Number 3, is it possible for a triangle to have sides with the given lengths right here? So here we go. This question is not asking about right triangles. This question is just asking for triangles. So we're just going to add, remember, any two sides, when you add it up, has to be greater than the third side. All right, so 3 plus 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is not greater than 9. Is it possible? No. And I just typed it down quick. So I tried the first two sides, 3 and 5. And by the way, when you list them from least to greatest, and the first two sides, when you add them up, is not greater than the third side, you know right away that it is not, these sides are not of a triangle. So that's basically it. All right, so number 4, we're going to do the same thing. Which of these side lengths could be sides of a triangle? So I am going to jump right here to A. So I'm going to put A down, and I'm going to do 7, 15, and 23. So 7 plus 15 has to be greater than 23. Do you notice that I put the side that's the least right first. So I have 22 not greater than 23. Out. Then I'm going to try B. 5, 9, and 13 from least to greatest. 5 plus 9 has to be greater than 13, and it is. Then I'm going to do 5 plus 13. Greater than 9. Yes, it is. Then I'm going to do 9 plus 13 is greater than 5. So all of these work out. This is it. So you could do like the first two, and if they're not greater than the third, you'll see it right off the bat. So say if I take 8 plus 5, that is equal to 13. Remember, 13 is not greater than 13. 13 is equal to 13. So we have 6 plus 15. 6 plus 15 is not greater than 23. That's why that's out. So B is your answer, and that is that. All right, given that ABC is similar to XYZ, which is not true of these triangles. We've had this question. Angle B is 25 degrees. So if we have 25 degrees here, if they are similar, all the corresponding angles that are in the same location are equal to each other. So this is true. So for this one right here, we have BC. This is BC. They put it over YZ. Those are corresponding sides. They're allowed to do that. And then they put the next one, AC, over XZ. That looks good. True. So they're looking for one that's not true. So we're going to put the next one on, let's see, BC. So that's the yellow one, over YZ. That's the yellow one. That's good. AC, the green one, over YX. That's this. That doesn't match up corresponding sides. C is your one that is false because the corresponding sides do not match up. I'm going to cancel out D. C is your answer. That proportion is not correct. All right, number 6, triangle ABC is translated to create DFG, and we're going to take this now and we're going to solve, we're going to create equations to determine values of X and Y. All right, so let me zoom this out a little bit because I need some space here. So just so you know, this is not as difficult as it seems. You see this right here. Your side AB, which is this, side AB, is congruent equal to DF. So if they're saying these sides are equal, then I'm going to go ahead, and X is in both of these equations. I'm obviously going to solve for X. And when I solve for X, it is going to be 2X plus 10, 3 times 2X plus 10 is equal to 12X plus 12. I'm not just setting them equal just to set them equal. They told me they were equal. They told me that they were congruent. Now, side BC is congruent to FG. BC is this side. Yeah. This is BC. Getting in a different color there. Is congruent to FG. So if you have that, so that's your side that where is that equation with Y. So you have 2Y plus 12 equals 2 times 2Y minus 3. I'm going to move this down and actually zoom back in so I have some space. I do not need to look at the equations anymore, the triangles anymore. I'm going to do distributive property. I'm going to go ahead and solve here. We have 6x plus 30 equals 12x plus 12. I have minus 6x on both sides. I am going to cancel the 6x's out. We have 30 equals 6x plus 12. You minus 12 on both sides. And we're going to have 6x equals 18. You divide by 6, divide by 6. I'm going into the x here, and x equals 3. On this side, I am going to solve for y. And again, I have to do distributive property first. So I have 2y plus 12 equals 4y minus 6. I'm going to subtract the 2y, getting the y's together. And the 2y's cancel. You have 12 equals 2y minus 6. You add 6 on both sides. They cancel. You have 18 equals 2y. You divide by 2 on both sides. And you get y equals 9. And that's how you do that one. Just remember, when they give you this type of question and they're saying that the sides AB is congruent to DF, then they're telling you that they're equal to each other, right? And then the other sides, just remember also, you can't solve an equation right now with two different variables. So you have to match up the variables, all right? When they're saying they're congruent, they're equal to each other. So x equals 3 and y equals 9. Topic number 4. Students were asked to write a formula. This is solving literal equations and consecutive integers. This is a difficult topic. So we're going to work through it, hopefully. So I'm just realizing here that there's a p that's missing. I don't know if that's on your end, but p equals 2L plus 2W. And it says solve for W. Just remember, when you're solving these, just make sure that you're using inverse operations. If you have to solve for W, you want to get this alone. So you're going to minus the 2L right off the bat, minus the 2L. This cancels. You have P minus 2L equals 2W. And to solve for W, you just have to divide by 2. And the 2's cancel, and you get W equals P minus 2L over 2. Or you could write it like this. We have W equals P over 2. And this is where you're getting the P over 2 from. And then when you're dividing here, you get negative L. It's an L. All right. So this is simplified. This is the simplified version. Or you could leave this. Whatever the multiple choice has, that's what you choose. All right. So we have if A equals a half. I always rewrite A equals a half P plus RT. Remember, you have to solve for P. So minus RT from both sides. This cancels. You have A minus RT equals half P. Now, to get rid of any fraction, just remember you're multiplying by its reciprocal. And just this side, this whole entire side has to be multiplied by 2 over 1, which is just 2. So the 2's cancels with the 2, and the 1 cancels with the 1. P equals 2 times A minus RT. And that's basically everything that you have right there. All right, formula solving volume, solve for R. All right, so this is V equals, I just like to rewrite it, pi R squared H. So I'm going to get rid of this. This fraction is really, really bothering me. So I'm going to just multiply this whole thing by 3 over 1, which is just 3. And I'm going to multiply this side by 3. So this 3 cancels with this 3, and this is 3v equals pi r squared h. And you notice now it's just much easier for me to solve for r. So I'm going to divide, because all of these are attached by multiplication, that operation. So you're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to cancel out the h's and the pi, and I'm going to move down a little bit here. And this is 3v over pi h equals r squared. Remember, you have to solve for r, and the opposite of squared is square root. This cancels with this. R equals square root of 3v over pi h. This is the answer. All right, the volume of a trapezoidal prism can be found using the formula this right here. So I am just going to go ahead and V equals a half A B plus C H. All right, so I'm going to have to solve for B. So I'm going to take it one step at a time. You see this half? It's really bothering me. So I'm just going to multiply the entire thing by 2. And that is the first thing that I'm going to do. And multiplying by 2 is like really 2 over 1. So that's the reciprocal. So I'm going to cancel out the 2's. And that leaves this right here. 2v equals A. There's B plus C and H. So then once I get it to that, I still have, remember, I have to solve for B. So I have to get in here somehow. I'm not distributing, so please don't say distribute. We are going to divide, because this is all multiplication here. So like, just think about it. If I want the A to cancel and the H to cancel, I'm going to just multiply, I'm going to divide by whatever I need to cancel right now. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. AH. That's what this is. So this cancels with this. This cancels with this. So we have 2v over AH equals B plus C now. It looks a little bit better, right? So if I have to solve for B, my last step is to minus C. And I'm going to rewrite it. I'm running out of space. 2v over AH minus C, this cancels, equals B. That's this. All right, just one step at a time. Get rid of the fraction first, like I did up here. This, you're canceling out because you're multiplying by the reciprocal. Once you multiply by the reciprocal, then you're free to just divide by whatever you need to cancel. But inside parentheses, B plus C, you can't really divide by just the C. So don't think that you can. You can't. And then when you divide by the A and the H, they both cancel, and then the B and the C are kind of like just there alone. And now you could subtract the C on both sides and get the B alone. And that's really how you do that one. So here we go again. So this is 3ax plus b equals c. And they're saying to solve for x equals, okay? So I'm going to just do the first thing that comes to mind is subtract b on both sides. This cancels. You have 3ax equals c minus b. Then I am going to, since I have to solve for x, I'm going to just divide, because this is multiplication, so I can divide by 3a. The 3 and the a cancel. You have x equals c minus b over 3a. And there it is, right there. C is your answer. Number 6, the perimeter of a triangle. The perimeter of a triangle, perimeter, add up all the sides, is 51 centimeters. If the lengths of its sides are consecutive odd integers, find the lengths of all 3 sides. So key. X, first odd integer. Consecutive odd integers. Do you remember what we put for the key for the second one? Yes, it's x plus 2. Second odd integer. And then the third one, x plus 4. Remember, it has to skip a number. So if one odd integer is 3, the next odd integer, consecutive odd integer, is 5. The next consecutive odd integer is 7. It's really like you're adding 2 every single time. So this is third odd integer. If it was even, it would be the same thing. X and x plus 2 and x plus 4. All right. The perimeter of the triangle has 3 sides, is 51 degrees. So just remember, you're adding all of these up. So we're going to just put x, because we're talking about perimeter here. So it's x plus 2 plus x plus 4 equals 51. Now your job is to combine like terms. So we have an x here, an x here, and an x here. So that's 3x. Plus 2 plus 4 is 6 equals 51. So we are minusing 6 from each side. 3x equals 45. Divide by 3 on both sides. And you get x equals 15. Find the lengths of all 3 sides. Find the length of all 3 sides. So that means I'm going to put 15 here. 15 plus 2. I'm just going to squeeze that in there. 17. And 15 plus 4, 19. You could check this if you really wanted to. First off, they're all odd. And then odd numbers. Not odd, but odd numbers. So if you really wanted to check that, it's 15 plus 17 plus 19 does equal 51. 51 equals 51. That does check out. You did this correctly. All right, number 7, find 3 consecutive integers. So 3 consecutive integers. All right, well, I'm not going to read anymore. So let's go ahead and put the key down. 3 consecutive integers, not odd, not even. So I'm going to put x equals the first. X plus 1 equals the second. And x plus 2 equals the third. All right, 3 consecutive integers such that such that the sum of twice the smallest, and 3 times the largest. Twice the smallest. The smallest is x. Here's the smallest, all right, x. Twice the smallest is 2x. So 2x, the sum of 2x plus 3 times the largest. Here's the largest, x plus 2. 3 times the largest is 120, is the equal sign, 126. Take it slow. This is not easy. This is how you do it, all right? So you just take it one step at a time, all right? The key is first. Then set it up where you say, all right, the sum of twice this. What's the smallest? Here's the smallest. Twice the smallest, 2 times x. 3 times the largest. Oh, what's the largest? X plus 2. 3 times that whole entire thing. You set it up like distributive property, and you're good to go. You have 2x plus 3x plus 6 with distributive property equals 126. You combine like terms, you have 5x plus 6 equals 126. You minus 6 on both sides. Yep. You get 5x equals 120. You divide by 5, divide by 5. X equals 120 divided by 5. And you get 24. So, find 3 consecutive integers. So this is 24, this is 25, and this is 26. When you're substituting in, the x is 24 plus 1. This is 24 plus 2. That's how I get 26. That's about it. All right. Tough question, not easy, but please just go ahead and, take it slow and you could get this. All right. So topic 5, angle relationships. All right. So, it says that line A is parallel to line B. That's true. And angle 2 is an acute angle. Angle 2 is an obtuse angle. All right. So that's not going to change it's an obtuse angle. It's not going to change this question at all. All right. Which mathematical statement cannot be? All right, cannot be used to show that measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 3. It actually should be congruent. All right. So 2 and 3, they're alternate interior angles and they're equal to each other. They're congruent. So which one cannot be used? So measure of angle 2 is congruent to the measure of angle, is equal to the measure of angle 1. So that's true. So I'm just going to put a true here. Which one's not true? Measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 3, those are equal and they're corresponding angles, so that's true. So therefore 2 and 3 are equal. This is true. So this is true, that's out. Measure of angle 3 is congruent to measure of angle 5. Those are vertical angles. This is true. Measure of angle 2 is congruent to measure of angle 5. These are corresponding angles. That's true. So therefore, measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 3. We know that's true. That whole thing is true. Measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 are vertical angles. That is true. Vertical angles are right across from each other. Measure of angle 2 and the measure of angle 5, they're corresponding angles in the same location. Those are equal to each other. Yes, that's true. Measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 5, they're vertical angles. That's true. And therefore, measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 3. D has to be the answer. So let's see. Measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. That is true. I'm going to put that as true. Measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 4. It is not. That's false. This measure of angle 3 is an obtuse angle. Measure of angle 4 is an acute angle. Those are not equal angles. They're not congruent. They are supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are not equal to each other. This is the one that cannot be used. It's D. All right. So in figure below, measure of angle 2 equals 3x. I'm going to put that in 3x plus 10. Measure of angle 4 is 5x plus 40. 1 is an obtuse angle. I'm sorry, angle 2 is an obtuse angle. Angle 4 is an acute angle. So these are supplementary angles. These are supplementary angles. Supplementary, 1 acute and 1 obtuse. We went over this in class. So a straight line, again, 2 and 4, supplementary angles. So we've kind of like, okay, let's go ahead and look at what equation you would choose. They're not equal to 90. That's out. They're not equal to each other. They're not like vertical angles. They're not alternate interior. They're not alternate exterior. They're not corresponding angles. That's it. They're not equal to each other. They're not congruent. This one is correct. It's equal to 180. This is not even equal to anything. That's just an expression. C is your answer. They're equal to 180 degrees. Measure of angle 7 is 79. I'm going to put that directly in. What's the measure of angle 3? Well, if you take a look, these are corresponding angles. They are both the same. Measure of angle 3 is 79 degrees. Number 4, y is, we did this one. All right, so you've seen this before. Y is 115. These are vertical angles. Vertical angles are equal to each other, right? Vertical angles are equal. This is obtuse and another obtuse. So you have 2x minus 15 equals 115. You're setting them equal because they're vertical angles. Vertical angles are equal to each other. So we are going to solve this. What's the value of x? We have 2x equals 130. You divide by 2, and you get x equals 65. All right, any questions? No use, not like you can ask me anyway. All right, so based on the figure above, which pair of angles are alternate exterior angles? Alternate exterior outside and across. And when I say outside, outside the parallel lines. So 1 and 4. 1 and 4 are vertical angles. These are out. That's out. 1 and 2, those are supplementary angles. That's out. 4 and 8, those are corresponding angles. That's out. 7 and 2. 2 is up here outside the parallel lines. 7 is across. Those are alternate exterior angles. Taking a look, based on the figure above, which pair of angles are vertical angles? 1 and 4, vertical angles, right across from each other, meeting in the middle. Yes, A is your answer. Based on the figure above, which pair of angles are corresponding? 1 and 4, vertical angles, we just said that. 1 and 2, they are supplementary angles, no good. Corresponding is in the same location. 4 and 8, that is correct. 4 and 8. 4 is right here. 8 is right here. All right, so you're on the lower right versus the lower right in the same location. 4 and 8 are corresponding angles. One more, supplementary angles, remember. So corresponding, same location. And vertical angles meet in the middle. And remember, the vertical angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Supplementary angles, not congruent. Not. One obtuse and one acute. That says 1. So, which pair are supplementary? 1 and 4, vertical. 1 and 2, yes. 1, acute. 2, obtuse. Supplementary angles, 1 and 2. B is your answer. Taking a look at this right here, they want the measure of angle X and angle Y. So, this is a little bit of a tricky problem, but this right here is given. So is this, and so is this. But I'm circling this because, I'm circling the Y, because I have a Y in 5Y plus 18. So I know I can make an equation with one type of variable, the same variable. So are these equal to each other, or are they equal to 180 if you add them together? They are supplementary. Remember, this is an obtuse angle. This is an acute angle. They are not equal, so you can't set them equal to each other. But what you can do is add them and set them equal to 180. So that's exactly what you would do. They are supplementary angles. 2 or more angles that add up to be 180 degrees are supplementary. Just remember, this is a 1y. So 5y plus 1y is 6y. And then you would subtract 18 on both sides. You have 6y equals 162. and you divide by 6. You get y equals 162, wait a minute, divided by 6. 27. So y, angle y, is 27 degrees. We're going to find angle x. If angle y is 27 degrees, I'm going to put this here. What's angle x? Right. So if you do put y into here, you would get angle x because they're vertical. But you could also, well, you could check it out. So let's go ahead and check it out. So we have 5 times 27 plus 18. So I'm going to grab my calculator and I'm going to do 5 times 27 plus 18. And I'm going to get 153. So this is 153. And so is x. All right, so we are going to go on to our last topic. Pythagorean Theorem. We just finished this topic in class. So in order to get, the first thing that I do is just draw a line like that opposite the right angle. This will identify my side C. And remember, if this is side A, obviously this is going to be your B. So Pythagorean Theorem states a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my A is going to stay A. My B is going to be 9 squared. And my C is definitely going to be 10 squared. If you misplace the hypotenuse, the whole question would be incorrect. You have a squared plus 81. 9 squared is 81. And 10 squared is 100. Minus 81 on both sides. Minus 81. It says round to the nearest tenths. A squared equals, and then we have 19. So the opposite of squared is square root. So I'm going to square root both sides. And I'm going to cancel that out. A equals, the square root of a squared is a. And then I'm just going to take the square root of 19. I'm going to press second function and square root 19. And then press enter. You get 4.35. 4.35, let me just put 4.35 is 4.4, round to the nearest tenth. C. Anytime you're missing a side length of a right triangle, you can use Pythagorean Theorem to find that missing side length, just as long as your hypotenuse is in the right spot. A rectangular park. A rectangle has been constructed in downtown Lilburn. The designer wants to put a gravel walkway that cuts diagonally through the park. The width is 8 feet and the height, which is spelled wrong, is 6 feet long. What is the length of his walkway? So I drew this rectangular park, and this is the diagonal walkway that they want. And right here is your right angle, right there. So if you have this right here, the width is 8 feet. So this is the width, and the height is 6 feet. So I'm going to put 8 feet and 6 feet. You could draw this on the test if you need. Obviously you're finding the missing side, and what it turns out to be is that it's the hypotenuse that's missing. So remember, I'm drawing that line right from the opposite right of the right angle. Opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the greatest side length. So the 8 feet could go in for my A or B. 6 feet could go in for my B or A. And then C squared is missing. So I have 64 plus 36 equals C squared. And 64 plus 36, just want to make sure 64 plus 36 is exactly what I'm thinking it is, and it is 100. Equals C squared. You square root both sides because the opposite of squared is square root, and you have c equals 10. Just remember, when you put the square root in, you press second function x squared, which is square root, and you put 100 in, you press enter, you get 10. So just put 10 feet. All right, number 3. If A is 3 feet, I'm going to put 3 in. B is 8 feet. 8 feet. 3 feet. And C is 6 feet. So just remember, like, this is a 3D figure here. So it's 3-dimensional. So remember, like, when we had any kind of rectangle and you have to find, you have to find whatever you want to find is length times width times height. And whereas like the formula, the basic formula for area of a rectangle would be length times width, the basic formula for volume would be length times width times height. So in this case, we are trying to find the length of D rounded to the nearest foot. And that D is this right here, right? So like if you could see it, D is that green line, horizontal line, right? So if they give you the A and they give you what B is and they give you what C is, that means this formula right here will work. And it says D equals length squared, square root of length squared plus W squared plus H squared. So it's length times width times height, but you're squaring all of what is given to you. It's like really length times width times height, but this is really what the formula is, and it is going to give you what that diagonal is right there. All right, so I'm going to put D equals square root of the length squared plus W squared plus H squared. It doesn't matter which number you use for the length, the width, or the height. So you're going to put 3 squared. I'm going to put 3 squared plus W squared, which is 8 squared, plus 6 squared. All right. And you really don't even have to take it this far, but you could do 9 plus 64 plus 36. And like all of that together is 109. I'm not even going to put it in there. D equals 109. Square root of 109. And then once you get square root of 109, you get 10.44. It says rounded to the nearest foot. This is not rounded to the nearest foot. This is not rounded to the nearest foot. This is not rounded to the nearest foot. This is rounded to the nearest foot. It's the only one that is. So just remember, like when I was telling you before, to put everything in all at once, we're just going to move this over here. And I'll just show you what I mean. If you press square root, right, and you have 3 squared, you could put that in, and then plus 8 squared, and then plus 6 squared. And you don't even really have to do anything. That's it. The calculator is going to figure it out for you. So there's really no reason to take this part right here or this part, unless they're talking about an exact value, and then you would have to kind of work it down to this. But if this is a multiple choice, just put it into the calculator at this point right here, and then press enter, and you'll get 10.44. But just read the directions nearest foot. This is the one that's to the nearest foot. If it was 10.44, round to the nearest hundredth, then you would have B as your answer. All right, and that is it. Just be careful reading with that, just follow the directions. A large pine tree was struck by lightning and fell in, shown in the diagram below. Poor tree. Which equation could be used to find the length of the fallen part of the tree? So obviously this makes a right triangle. So here we go again. We're going to take a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the only part that you have to be concerned about is that c. So a squared would be 8. The 13 squared would be b. And the c squared is what you're trying to look for. So we're going to have 18 squared, which we know is 64. 13 squared, we know is 169. So 64 plus 169 equals c squared. And you add 64 and 169 together, you get 233 equals c squared. And you square root both sides, you get this c, and which equation could be used. So it's really not telling you to figure out the whole entire thing. So I didn't even see, I just kept on going. And obviously I'm trying to figure out the length. So we're just going to take a look at which equation that could be used. So you're talking about 8 squared plus 13 squared. And at this point right here, I could have stopped and just realized, hey, when x, this is x, your c squared. If you square root this side and you square root this side, so this is c equals 8 squared plus 13 squared, b is your answer. You didn't have to go through what I just did. But if you were going to go find this length and you were going to round it, the square root of, if the question asks you to go further, it's 15.3. All right, round is the nearest tenth. But it didn't ask you to do that. All right, so this basically right here is where you could stop and you could say, oh, that's this right here. That is your answer. All right, and that's it. Find the distance between the 2 points. They're going to have you plot the points. So -5, -3 is -5 is to the left 5 and 3 down. And I'm going to be very careful here. And then 1, 2 is 1 to the right and 2 up. So I'm going to go ahead and connect those 2 points. And I'm going to try to find the distance between those 2 points. So I'm going to go ahead and use those 2 points to make your right triangle. So after I make my right triangle, I'm going to go ahead and figure out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length of this side is 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to use Pythagorean Theorem. A squared would be my 5. B squared would be my 6. And C squared would be here, right? The missing length. So we have the missing distance. So we have, it says round your answer to the nearest tenth. So 25 plus 36 is 61. And then I'm just going to do the square root of 61 is 7.81. C squared, you square root both sides. 7.81. When you round it to the nearest tenth, it's 7.8. All right, and that is the entire the review sheet from top to bottom. Remember, there are 20 multiple choice plus 4 open-ended, so not everything will be on it. This is just a review by topic of what you should know. And I just wanted to thank you for watching, and I hope this helped. See you next time.